Hey, this is Dani, and the channel is You and Me Living Free. And today we are doing Death Valley. And I'm going to tell you, I found Death Valley thoroughly delightful. So I want to share my experience. I want to share a few stories and travel tips too, because I had no idea what to expect. Part of the reason is I had no idea what to expect is because Death Valley wasn't really on my list of destinations that I particularly wanted to see. I think they've done it a disservice by naming it Death Valley. It's not very inviting, and I'm sure it has earned its name, I know, in the summertime, but it is November now when I'm visiting it, and I'm telling you, it was delightful. So this was not my destination. I was headed toward Alabama Hills and then eventually Sequoia National Park, both in California. And I basically had to drive through Death Valley just to get there. So once I knew that was the case, I decided I would make the best of it. I started asking a couple of people and doing some research online. Okay, if you had to only see a couple of things at Death Valley, what would you not want to miss? Definitely. And so they told me, and I ended up doing that and lots more, actually. So as I'm driving here, I'm giving you this idea that this is very up and down, and I was extremely surprised. I know Death Valley is obviously a big valley, and when you have valleys, what do you have on both sides? Well, you probably have big mountains, right? It sounds so obvious now, but I really didn't think about it. I thought about it being a lot of flats like you see here. This is Dante's view. And so this is just showing you when you come into the park, you're just a little bit above sea level, and then they immediately take you up into the mountains, and so you climb, and then you have so that you can look down, right? So I came in thinking it was going to be flat the whole time. I'm immediately climbing up to 4,000 or 5,000 feet to get this gorgeous view that you see here on the camera. And then after this, we're going to go down in elevation. It was really almost like a roller coaster. I'm not saying a lot of it isn't flat, but there was so much more roller coaster than I was anticipating. Working on my selfie game there, that I just wanted to share that with you. It's like you come in, you're about 1,000 feet, you go up into the mountains, then you have Zabriskie Point, which we'll see here in a little bit because we're going to go up some more mountains, and then you go down to the Salt Flats, and then you go up to Father Crawley Vista, which is on the other side of the park, on the west side of the park. So you are up and down and all around in this place. Okay, we're almost done with Dante's view, and then I have some time in the video where I just spend driving, showing you some of the diversity and everything. And so I'm going to give you a couple of tips, a couple of things that would have helped me to know in the beginning. First of all, I don't know why, but the Furnace Creek Visitor Center, the gas price there was like $1.50 more than anywhere else, even in the park. And you know it's going to be expensive in California anyway, but this was like, I'm going to say it was almost $7. $6.89 or something, and in the rest of the park it might have been $5.50 or even $5.80 or something, but it was lots more expensive, so just know that. Also, whenever I'm getting ready to go to a place, I put it in my weather app, right? So my weather app, just whatever came with the phone or weather.com, I can put in like 15 different cities and look for the weather. Well, when I was looking for Death Valley, the weather app had a temperature posting for Death Valley National Park. This was not the temperature at the Salt Flats, at the bottom of the valley. So if you want a good idea what the temperature range is going to be, again, I've already told you you're going to go in and out of the mountains, and we all know, or if you don't, then I'm telling you, because I just learned this, every 1,000 feet in elevation, you basically drop 3 degrees. And it was really obvious because I went from the Salt Flats all the way up to to Father Crawley, and so that was literally almost 5,000 feet difference, and it was 83 on the canyon floor, on the valley floor, and it was 68 up at the viewpoint. So I could see very, very clearly that that was the case. Anyway, you got me going down a rabbit trail. I'm so sorry. My point was, if you want a good idea what the temperatures are going to be in the park, pull up your weather app, pull up Death Valley National Park, also pull up Furnace Creek, California, and that will give you an idea, a true idea of what the high temperatures are going to be like. I love these pictures because of all the different colors. The color differences are more subtle than in some of the other places that I have been, but they are just as gorgeous. Okay, moving right along, we are headed for Zabriskie Point. And when we got to Zabriskie Point, I see the sign and it says, "You're in the Badlands." And I was like, wait a minute, the Badlands are in the Dakotas. I guess Badlands is just a terrain type. And there are many Badlands across this country, and, well, not many, but there's more than one, and there are all over the world. There are some Badlands. So it's characterized by like these steep slopes and the arid climate and some other things that were in that picture I showed. So this is Zabriskie Point, and this was beautiful too. The walk up here was really steep, but it was only, I don't know, 100 meters or so. But I felt like I had climbed about an 8-story to 10-story building by the time I got up there. There was just a lot to look at and a lot to appreciate. And by this point, I'm like, man, this Death Valley rocks. Like, this is freaking awesome. And then after this, we get on the road again and we are headed to the Salt Flats. Did you ever think this video would end? Look at all these things that Death Valley has to offer. I had no idea. But it's a dry heat. This cracked me up. I did not know that Death Valley is not only the hottest place in the United States, it's the hottest place on Earth. I didn't know that. Well, you could obviously fill volumes and volumes with everything I didn't know, right? Badwater Basin, here we are at the lowest point in the country, at least, maybe on the continent, I'm not sure, like 282 feet below sea level. This was so fun and cool to be down in this, on this valley floor, on these salt flats, actually walking. You know, a lot of them they have that, and they preserve them and nobody gets to touch them. But on this strip right here that went all the way across, they let everybody just walk on it. And look at this. It was so awesome. Here, I just take the video, honestly, of just looking down, and it's like, so you can even hear the crunch of my steps. For some reason, that just gave me, like, the giggles. That just made me so happy. And to be down here at the bottom of this valley, looking around and seeing all of it, just gorgeous. Of course, this was the hottest, and I was out here at about 2 in the afternoon. It was about 83 degrees or so, and again, I didn't really realize it was going to be that warm. But if I'd done the weather app thing like I'm telling you guys, then you will know. Here's another view. This is just looking back as I'm getting ready to walk back. I walked out maybe half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile out and then back. I think the whole thing is about a mile and then back. You see the people in the bottom there? That'll give you some idea of just the scale of it. When you have all these vast landscape pics and no people or anything to judge the size, it's really hard to tell. But those are the people right there, and that just shows you how enormous and how gorgeous, just the massive scale of it. It was a cool place to be. So now we're driving away from the flats, and you can see more flat land. But again, these mountains with the different colors, different striations, different things to look at. Always so fascinating to me. And we are almost done, so stick around. I'm going to tell you about where I camped. So I camped at a place called Immigrant Campground. Oh, this video is funny. So we're just looking at these these piles here because I'm just doing it for contrast, I think, just for effect, because up here is like the lodge. Look at that thing. So you have this desert area, there's almost no greenery, and then boom, out of nowhere, you see this massive like mini forest of trees. That's the lodge up there. I just thought it was funny because it's a huge contrast to look at what's behind it. I mean, it was hilarious. Anyway, now we're back to driving on flat land. I camped at Immigrant. Now, this was good and bad because Immigrant was on the west side of the park. Most of the attractions are on the southeast side. So Immigrant is kind of on the northwest side. So when I wanted to go back and do the attractions again, I didn't realize that it was going to be like a 40-mile trek back. It was still worth it, but I did cover a bunch of ground. But here's my picture from Immigrant, and the good thing was it was free. Another good thing was the elevation was around 2,000 feet, so it was 83 on the floor of the salt flats, and then by the time I got here, it was like 77. That's a nice, wonderful little temperature drop. I was more than comfortable because I was kind of worried that I would be too hot to camp there. But it all worked out perfectly, as it usually does. And look at you. You made it to the end. I can't believe it. You deserve a medal. Sending you tons of love. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time.